Why climb? Why do we put our bodies through hours of pain and suffering? It's for moments like this. These are the moments we dream about and work towards. In these moments, we are free. Away from the hustle of the daily life. Away from all the noise that clouds our minds. Here, we are able to set our minds free and absorb the beauty of nature, combined with the thrill of racing down a hill. At any moment, life could be over. I choose to live.
Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all.
I'm not the type of guy that likes to climb. It's not something I seek out. But if there's a good downhill, I will climb. And that's what I did. That's what I do. That's what I did on this ride. It was a long, tedious climb. I reached the top of the summit and I was ready for the downhill. It was my first time going down that side of the mountain. I remember racing down the Payson side of the mountain and how fun it felt going around the corners, passing cars, and I thought it was going to be a similar experience. I didn't take into account the steepness of the Nephi side. So for anybody wondering, the Payson side, it's 22 miles from the base of the climb to the summit. On the Nephi side, it's only 10 miles. So it's quite a bit steeper on the Nephi side. Obviously the same amount of elevation gain. As I was going down, I was tired of climbing. I wanted to go fast. And I was being stupid. I was using up both sides of the road as I was making my turns going down the mountain. It felt good. I was going fast. And I remember thinking to myself, if there's a car coming up the canyon, I'm not going to have time to react. I'm going to hit that car head on. So on the next turn, I decided that I needed to stay on my side of the road, not cross the yellow lines. And it ended up being a sharp left-hand turn. I was carrying too much speed, and I realized it as I was entering the turn. I wasn't able to slow down. I already initiated the turn. I tried my best to slowly pull on the brakes. I didn't want to pull too hard for fear that I would slide out. And as I was going around the turn, I just wasn't able to slow down. Looking at my Strava, I was going somewhere between 30 to 35 miles an hour. And at a certain point I decided I'm not going to be able to make this turn. As I was leaning the bike over, I decided that I needed to lay down on the road. So I put my left knee down and my left hand down first. I laid down, my bike laid down on the road next to me, and we both began to slide. I remember as I was sliding on the left side of my body, thinking to myself, I can't just tear my left side apart. I need to spread the road rash across the whole body so it's not just one deep gash on one side. So I began to rotate. I don't remember which direction I rotated. I want to say maybe towards my back. That'd be the most logical choice. And I went onto my back, and And I don't remember a whole lot after that, other than I began to roll uncontrollably. Eventually I found myself doing backflips, head over heels, and I went off the road into the bushes. I remember standing up. I don't think I got knocked out. If I did, maybe it was just for a second. Maybe I blacked out while I was flipping, I don't know. But I got up, I stood up, I was down in the bushes, and as I was standing up, my Aunt Neva came down the road and she stopped. She had seen my bike laying on the side of the road. My bike just stayed on its left side and slid across the road and was sitting there in the gravel up above the bushes. I looked up at her and I told her, you know, this ride is over. I think we're done. Fortunately, my mom had been following us in the car behind. So my mom came shortly after. I remember laying in the gravel. They'd gotten a cooler out and put it on the road in the gravel. I had started going into shock, and I needed to just kind of calm down. We ended up driving down the canyon. I did not want to go to the emergency room. I was thinking of the money. I didn't want to pay an ER visit. So we went to the Instacare. The doctor looked at my knee. At first he didn't think he could fix my knee. He thought I was going to have to go have surgery. They were going to have to cut some skin off another part of my body to put it in the knee. But then he came back a little bit later and said, you know what, I'm going to try it. So he stitched up my knee. Turned out that was kind of a bad thing. I don't think the knee got washed out very well. It was a big wound. Fortunately, I have a nurse that works at my job, and they wouldn't allow me to go back to work until she cleared me to go back to work. She's a very experienced nurse. She had worked in the wound clinic before, and she told me that she would take care of my knee for me. I was still going to the clinic maybe once a week or so and seeing a doctor, but she told me that she would clean my knee for me every week, at least once a week. As time went on, she told me that the doctor that I was seeing didn't know what he was talking about, and that I needed to be at a wound clinic. Where the skin had been sewn up, the skin was deteriorating around the stitches. My knee had become infected. They had given me an antibiotic for it. At one point, I remember she could stick a cotton swab in my wound. It would go underneath the skin and poke out the other side of my knee. The doctor, on the other hand, was telling me that my knee was perfectly fine, and it would scab over once or twice. The scab would fall out, it would do it again, and eventually my knee would be fine. So I was caught in a dilemma, or a decision-making moment where I needed to decide, do I listen to a nurse or do I listen to a doctor? Eventually, as my knee was spewing out yellow and black things, I finally decided to go visit a different doctor and ask his opinion. He looked at my knee and he said, I'm not an expert on this, but if that was my knee, I would want to be talking to an expert. So that was it. He gave me a referral to go to the wound clinic. It took a while to get my knee to heal. They ended up scraping it out. At least I believe it was twice a week for a little bit. They put a vacuum on my knee to help suck the infection out. I wore that vacuum. It was taped to my shin. I wore that for a couple weeks. I want to say maybe 6 weeks or so. I can't remember the exact amount of time. But my knee is better now, and I'm able to ride. Hopefully you can learn from my story, and I hope you enjoy your rides.